Everybody's Tell True Sports Radio. I'm your host, Ron Fitch. I'm going to give you the weekend recap. First, I want to talk about one of the greatest games, if not the. I got to think about that, but it was a great game. 18 innings, the Dodgers win. And man, what a ball game. And I thought the whole night, because Toronto really needed this more, I felt like Toronto was going to somehow win because the Dodgers kept getting on base, not getting the runs they needed, not getting that key hit to get them over the hump. They went up 2-0, and then they kind of stalled. And then here comes Toronto because Toronto, until Springer got hurt, Toronto was on a roll. He got hurt. That lineup kind of died out a little bit because you're replacing Springer, and Springer and Guerrero were the major 1-2 punch. And Guerrero didn't get the hits I thought he would. They didn't walk him like they did Ohtani. I was surprised. You know, Guerrero, he was 2 for 7. And I would expect better. But the Dodgers ended up, and Ohtani was on base 9 times. Mind you, he's pitching today. And I'm doing the show before the game 4, but mind you, he's doing that, which is amazing. He was on base 9 times. But was the key was when the Tiny doubled, Freeman single to tie the score. And that gave the Dodgers confidence. And then here comes Toronto, just coming after him, 5-4. And then in the 7th, Ohtani Holbert, and they said, okay, no more pitches to you, buddy. And they walked him the rest of the way. And that's a problem because you're walking him even if people are on base. You're taking a risk that Betts and Freeman, they walked Betts one time to get to Freeman. Freeman popped out deep. Freeman was popping up and he wasn't getting that clean wood on the ball, but his last 3 at bats, he was hitting the ball harder. And it looked like he's getting closer. He had the ball deep and it would have been out. But in LA, when it's 65 degrees, the ball doesn't carry. So it was deep to center. I guess this time he said, I'm going to hit this next ball so hard, even if it's cool out here in the LA night, it's going out. And he hit it. And I think, well, when he first hit the homer, I'm thinking, okay, the center field's going to catch. This ball's not carrying. Because Teoscar's ball, Hernandez's ball went deep and it could have been gone. It wasn't. And it just kept going. It was out. I said, wow, he did it again. And as a Cub fan, when the Dodgers play, of course, the Tiny's dangerous and Betts is a great hitter. I fear Freeman over all of them because he's got that short, compact swing. He hits all the pitches, the cutters, the curveballs, the fastballs, the 2-seam fastballs, the 4-seam fastballs. He sees it because he's got a really short, compact swing. He's strong, and he's got a good eye for the plate. And he's just dangerous. And walking Mookie Betts to get to him, even if it's a lefty, is still risky. But Toronto, the problem if Springer doesn't play is Schneider, Lukes, Bichette, Kiner Falefa, Kirk, who's been great. Kirk has been great. They have to just pick up the slack if he's out. It's like he's going to be out. And then Ohtani. Is Ohtani healthy? Because he hurt his, might have been his, I don't know if it's calf, but Ohtani's deadpan. He's real calm. He's got that calm demeanor. So if he goes 0 for 4, he might go 1 for 5 and hit a bomb. And he had a tough ball off Scherzer. It was on the inside corner of the plate, and he banged it out. And the Dodgers show heart. I tell you, unsung hero they talk about on the Dodgers with the pitching. They talk about Will Klein, who was heroic. Enrique, Edgardo Henriquez, he was kind of shaky. He pitched fantastic. 30 pitches, 2 strikeouts, 72 pitches from Klein. But I did not like when they put Kershaw in a situation where his bases loaded, 2 out. You couldn't walk. He hadn't pitched in a while. He got to 3-2. I said, "Oh man, I don't walk him. I don't want him to be the GOAT." It was such a great career, and he threw ball 3 and got the out. That was big time, and I love the fact that he did what he had to do. Dalton Varsho grounded out and he swung a ball 4. But it was such a good pitch, he grounded out, and I was so happy for Kershaw. So he doesn't have to be the GOAT. That was heroic. And they figured out a way to win. But Toronto's not going anywhere. I mean, I don't care if Ohtani's pitching. They're very tough. But Toronto, it seems like they have to just bash you in and put up a 9 spot. The closer the games, it seems like it favors the Dodgers a little bit. And I say if, the Dodgers win this World Series, once again, the biggest home run came out of Will Smith. That was the biggest at batter of the season. In Game 2, the game in a balance, and Toronto looking to go 2-0 and putting all types of pressure on the Dodgers. Will Smith hit the homer that got him the lead. It gave that Dodgers team the confidence to say, hey, okay, we've been here, done that. We're going to go on the road, get another road win. And that was impressive. But Toronto, of course, wants to win one to get back to Toronto. If they do, Game 6 and 7 will be very hard for the Dodgers out there in Canada. But this is a must-win for both teams. But the Dodgers win, of course, a must-win for Toronto. If Toronto wins, the Dodgers would have to win to go up 3-2, and they would have to win in 6, not win in 7. But if Dodgers win today, they're going to look to close them out in 5 because they have a championship pedigree, and they don't try to squander opportunities. But they haven't had clutch hitting with runners on base. They're hitting homers, but they're not getting that single that you need to just break the game open. I wonder if they're due. They haven't did that the whole postseason, but they're still winning because they're getting clutch pitching out of relievers and their starters. Now, NFL, the best team in the NFL is the Kansas City Chiefs at this point in time because they're rolling. Rashid Rice, Hollywood Brown, Kelsey look good. And the running game is solid. They're running in between the tackles with Hunt and Pacheco, and now that allows Mahomes to be his Mahomes' great self, which is not proper English, but there you have it. And then the other big game, the Packers beat up on the Steelers, and I usually don't like the fire. Here come the fire Tomlin stuff every year when there's a losing streak. But this year seems different. They have an opportunity. They need the Dolphins. If they're going to win the division, they need the Dolphins to beat the Ravens on Thursday night. Because you don't want to, if the Ravens get close, if the Ravens are even, they're leaving. Because Lamar Jackson's health is important. If he's coming back, then they're going to be a lot better. Still don't know about the. I don't think nobody other than the Browns, nobody in the AFC Central is playing good defense. Hyped up, but not good defense. The Broncos are tough. The Broncos and the Chiefs and the Chargers, when they play each other this year, it's going to be really good. Buffalo kind of got a get right game, but Bryce Young wasn't playing. New England is the talk of the town right now, but I got to see more of New England before I go gaga. They got Atlanta, that's a win. At Tampa, good game. But they have a lot of winnable games. They got the Giants at home, Jets at home, at Cincinnati, and then The 14th of December is Buffalo and that at home. Buffalo at Baltimore at Jets. That's your proving ground, but they have an opportunity to really make their move and I won't say put distance, but really put the pressure on the Bills. And the Colts keep rolling, and they should win this week against Pittsburgh the way Pittsburgh's playing defense. And my guy, Jonathan Taylor, go on my site. I did an interview with him and Daniel Jones, the combo. I haven't said that since Shaq and Kobe. The combo, they're not getting a great pass rush, but you got this combo of Taylor and Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones he was, let me see, yes, 2,062 yards, 173, 243, 2,062 yards, 13 TDs, 3 interceptions. John Taylor's almost at 1,000 yards, and we're not even halfway through the season. So they're really, and I do want to include what makes them really great is their tight end sensation, Tyler Warren from Penn State, the monster tight end. And then you're giving me Michael Pittman Jr. They are a handful. That means Pittsburgh, the Steelers need the Ravens to lose because you're assuming they're going to lose this week. And then they're going to have to go to the LA Chargers and maybe steal that game. Because I'm pretty much penciling this down as a loss against the Colts. So that means they're going to be 4-4. You don't want to be 4-5, and then fire Tomlin. Everyone's going to sing that song like Christmas Carol. But their only hope is they lose this week. Forget that. This is a loss. Cincinnati beating them at home, trying to steal a game in Chicago, which they haven't won in years, and the Chargers. Best case scenario, they're 6-5 with a 2-game lead over their division rival. That's their only hope. But the problem is they got to play Baltimore twice. So if Baltimore wins this game Thursday, then Baltimore's thinking, okay, we'll win the division because we know we got the Steelers twice. They're going to have a bunch of losses without any defense. Defense wins championships. You got to play defense. The Chiefs play great defense to go along with their offense. And that's why I give them a slight edge over the Colts. And Denver and the Chiefs, I have to watch that game. Then I'm going to have a better assessment of who's better. But Denver's up there. But because the Chiefs have been there, and I'm surprised. Usually teams that get their rear ends kicked in the Super Bowl, they're shell-shocked. Not the Chiefs team, they're resilient. They got blown out by Tampa in the Super Bowl, blew the Cincinnati game the following year, and they came back and won 2 Super Bowls in a row. That's just Andy Reid's probably the greatest coach because he didn't need the shenanigans Belichick needed when he was doing all that Spygate and all that nonsense. Andy Reid and Mahomes, they win this time, that would help because their legacy took a hit in that Super Bowl getting trounced. I still don't like the offensive line, the tackles. I'm still nervous about that. But they figure out a way. Now, when it comes to the NFC, Philadelphia is solidly ahead. They look better. Seattle, I believe the Rams are going to win that division. I think the Niners are going to fall back to the pack without all those injuries. Green Bay and Detroit, that is going to be a great, great battle. And Chicago, that's the best division of football. Green Bay, Detroit, Chicago, Minnesota, they're all good. I like Detroit because Detroit gets Green Bay in Detroit. I think they're going to take them out. And then there's Tampa. And Tampa's got some proving to do. Even at 6-2, they're a good team. Mayfield's solid. but they got to prove games. New England at Buffalo, at the Rams, Arizona. So they got some. I mean, verse at home versus Arizona. But those four games: New England, Buffalo, Rams, Arizona, because Arizona is competitive. That's that's going to let you know how good they really are. Now, when it comes to college football, I'm I'm really really impressed with Alabama because they won in South Carolina. I knew South Carolina was going to get in trouble, and they figured out how to win. They won in South Carolina, they won in Detroit, they won in Missouri, and they beat a really good Vanderbilt team who just beat Missouri at home. And what you want to look for next week is at 12 o'clock, Texas, who's scuffled but still are in it at 6-2 at home versus Vanderbilt. It's a game I cannot wait to see because you got my guy Diego Pavia versus Arch Manning. Now Arch Manning, if he's healthy, because he got hurt, Arch Manning has some proving ground. Texas wins, and Manning plays good. It changes the whole narrative. The man, I think he's a bust. I have a friend, he rags on me. What happened to Manning? I can't say anything. But this matchup, he's working. And it's a proving ground for Vanderbilt because they had a road test and failed miserably. Pavia was bad. But Pavia could go to Texas, all to Texas, and hook them horns, and he could hook horns. So I can't wait for that. That's my matchup I can't wait for. But Alabama was the most impressive team this week because that was a tough road game. They have a lot of road wins behind them. It was a super big Ole Miss. That was a big time win in Oklahoma. And it was the one time I thought John Mateer wasn't as good. Chambliss was solid, but that was a rugged game, and Ole Miss came away with a W. I think they're both in it. Ole Miss has South Carolina, Florida. Ole Miss is going to win all their games leading up to Mississippi State. Even though Mississippi State is not great, they would have an opportunity to ruin Ole Miss's season. The Egg Bowl. It's my bucket list trip. Go to Ole Miss when they're hopefully next year. But see, I don't know if Kiffin's going to be there because LSU Kelly got fired, and then the Florida job is available. I'm hoping he stays, but Ole Miss better have some dough because if Lane Kiffin goes to LSU, go get him a defensive coordinator. They're ready to win some national championships. I'm gonna put that. You got to get a defensive coordinator, a good coordinator. But sometimes Ole Miss is deficient when it comes to defense. And that's it. That's my show.